Hello and welcome. My name is Bartosz Bekier, and I'm welcoming you in another episode of Exporter TV. Wir senden aus einer Wolkenkratzer in Österreich, but I think I'll stop speaking German because I don't want to end like Donald Tusk.
Für Deutschland.
We have our special guest today. It's Alexander Markovics, political philosopher from Austria. Hello, Alexander.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Bartosz.
As you may heard, there is a status change in Poland between Ukraine and our country.
It's complicated.
Yeah, it's now somehow complicated. And how do you think? What is the reason that exactly in this moment everything changed? Because Poland was known for helping Ukraine for nothing and receiving nothing in exchange, and now there's certainly different situation in Poland and maybe also in Austria and a whole part of our continent. What is your opinion on this?
Yeah, I think the reason for this change in relationship status is that we are now witnessing a real economic downturn in Europe, not only because of the energy politics, but also because of inflation and everything. And yeah, voters all around in this so-called European democracy get angrier and angrier each day, and they don't realize why they should, on the one hand, subsidize the war in Ukraine and sell maybe the whole army for Zelensky in order to continue the just fight for America, like they're putting it in Ukraine. And of course, this leads to European politicians fearing that maybe next time they could no longer be in office, like it happened in Slovakia just 2 days ago.
That will be my next question,
and,
exactly. Yeah.
Robert Fico won, which is very fortunate, of course. And of course, that's why you have this complicated relationship status. Of course, when you look at Polish-Ukrainian relations, you could mention so many other things which make this relationship very complicated. May it be on the one hand, the phenomenon of Ukrainian nationalism as such.
Like creative for Austrians, you mean?
Yes, exactly. So we Austrians did some bad things in history, but also mostly good. But of course, Ukrainian nationalism wasn't our best creation so far. And of course, stemming from Ukrainian nationalism, you had this visit of the former Waffen-SS veteran of Division Galicia in Canadian Parliament. And of course, Poland wasn't very happy about that.
Yeah, Rainbow plus swastika.
Yes, Rainbow and swastika, the new dream team
all
of
together.
Western politics.
Alles zusammen.
And of course, all of this together makes Poland and also especially the Polish voters not so happy, even not speaking about the Ukrainian grain exports. But of course, this is reason enough to rethink this relationship.
Yeah, and after the ports are blockaded by Russia, the sea route is now blocked, and they are looking for other routes. And one is there some project route by Austria or only by Poland or Slovakia?
You mean
the route for the grain?
The route for the grain.
Yeah.
As far as I know, Austria has not.
It's not involved in any.
It's not involved in some special project. At least not on the public level. Yeah. So I don't know what our degenerate nobleman Alexander von Schallenberg is doing behind the scenes, because he was just recently in Ukraine and said that he will do everything for Ukraine. So obviously Austria is no longer neutral anymore, despite being it written in our constitution. So I don't know what exactly he does behind the scenes, but at least officially Austria is not part of such an initiative. Yeah.
And it's, I think it's impossible that you will send your troops, because I think that the current status of Austrian army isn't so good. Is it true?
Yeah, that's true. So I guess if you would send Austrian troops to Ukraine, it would actually be more help for Russia than for Ukraine, because our troops are devastated. So until 1991, of course.
But it was because of the neutrality status, or?
Yeah, so until 1991, we actually had to keep a quite decent army for the size of our country. But since then, every government, may it be socialists, conservatives, or even the FPÖ, every government so far has tried to kill our army, even though they are not admitting that. So yeah, therefore our army is in shambles. We even sent our helmets to Ukraine. So now there are soldiers in Austria without helmets because they are now in Ukraine.
So they have only regular caps, huh?
Exactly, yeah. And it's raining inside our barracks in Austria. So I guess our army is not really a threat to anyone. Yeah.
And even FPO, because they are fascist, they shouldn't be militaristic or something.
Yeah, at least before every election they promise something for the military. But yeah, when they were part of the last military, they also cut down the spending. So of course you can say something, but if you do something different,
yeah, I think that in Poland, the changing of the status is also somehow connected to the elections. We'll see how it will come, but it was a really interesting result in Slovakia, as you mentioned. Robert Fico is now in power again, and of course the one of the politicians who was sending him regards as one of the first was the Viktor Orban. And how do you think this changes geopolitical situation in Central Europe? Does it change anything?
Yeah, I guess it changes the situation insofar as another country will start to stop arming Ukraine any further, which is actually very good. So I guess even Poland just recently promised to send no new weapons, at least, to Ukraine.
Because we don't have anything to send. Everything we had was now in Ukraine, blown out by some systems like Lancets and other. But of course, there are big orders of new equipment, but it still didn't arrive.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
We don't have, at the moment, to send anything because we don't have anything. Yeah? So, obvious. So Poland and Austria is in the same thing.
Exactly. At least at the moment. So yeah, I guess it will change geopolitics insofar as there is now a growing nearly bloc of countries who are no longer willing to send more weapons to Ukraine. And of course, this will also be seen by other European peoples and maybe people in Germany, in France, and also in Great Britain will start to think about maybe it's not that intelligent to send more weapons to Ukraine in order that they get destroyed there. Also the armament companies, it's maybe not the best advertisement if their Leopard 2A6 gets blown up and then the Leopard 287 and all the new
not very good
British
commercial,
tech, etc. So it's not the best way of making it.
Should be undestroyable, right? The British.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, history verifying. Alexander, you've been to Moldova recently to visit our common friend, former prime minister of this country, or former vice prime minister of this country, Yuri Roska. What were you doing there?
Yeah, it was the start of a so-called special meter-political operation.
Very controversial name. I hope it won't get us arrested.
Hopefully. So, of course, you have all around the world globalist think tanks who are organizing big conferences and talk about further aiming their evil aims, nearly like in some Austin Powers movies or something like that. And yeah, what Yuri Roska organized in Moldova was basically the opposite of that, so not the satanic version of some kind of international meaning, but the good version of that. And we talked about the problems created by globalism and how you can fight it. Of course, there were some slightly differences. So you had on the one hand the faction which was supportive of multipolarity and the emerging multipolar world. I'm one of them. And then there have also been some speakers who said, no, you have to be very careful of multipolarity because it's going too slow. There are some actors who are also involved in globalist politics, etc.
Like in Russia?
Like in Russia, yeah. So it was, in some aspects it was controversial, but mostly it was very interesting because you had patriots from all around Europe. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we were basically talking about how to end globalism, what we can do against globalist politics, so that one day we will also not only have a better society in Russia or other countries, but also in Europe. Yeah.
Alexander, thank you for this short interview, and thank you for watching. If you like it, please hit the subscribe button and see you next time.